Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Cathy.
Got a little bit of a late start, both of us. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
Cool.
Pretty good. I played a little bit of you there.
That
Uh,
was me? From what?
yeah, did you hear yourself?
Uh, maybe. Was it earlier?
You're coming on. No, I went to YouTube and then I looked up your name and I only saw, oops, this isn't it.
Okay,
I
that's
only
not me.
saw two two things that I could play. I don't know. You may have other things. One
Oh,
was one was at the Jazz Showcase. It was only a minute, and another one was a little longer at the Chicago Studio Club. Here, I'll show this.
oh yeah, that's a long time.
Oh, you look really young here.
Yeah, 2012. I guess it's not that long ago. That's Pam.
I mean, it was good. You were good.
No, it's
I don't
just
know how
so
you.
funny to watch this. I haven't watched this ever.
What'd you say?
I haven't watched. I didn't even. I knew that this existed, or I kind of think I did. I remember this gig. This was with Rose Colella during a
Oh,
jam session. That's God, she teaches at the Chicago Academy for the Arts. Or the Arts. I went to North Texas with them.
yeah. Here we go. Here's what it says.
Dan,
Dan Bruce and Dan
yes, yeah,
DeLorenzo.
Dan Lorenzo.
Gosh,
Uh, the,
you were pretty young there, huh?
that was 9 years ago. So
Well,
you do
you're young now.
38 years old. It's weird. It is weird sometimes to watch yourself play. Like that was before Peter had me sitting higher than I am now, and
Oh,
just like watching different like symbols that I haven't used in a long time at a venue that I haven't played at. Well, actually, no, I would take that back. I did play there right before COVID, but I haven't been to that venue in a long time. It looks different now. Yeah, it's just I would never dress like that now. I don't look like that now. What a difference a decade.
what a difference a day makes.
A decade.
You're looking a little down. Is there any way you can look up?
Shoot. Hold on a second.
Okay, we're holding on. Yes, Mark Baldrich. He does have a promotion business, and we'll ask him if he knows Steve Hashimoto. And
Is this working now? Can you hear me?
yeah, it's a little soft,
Oh,
and I can hear myself echoing.
oh, shoot! That's why our interface went off here. I when I moved the monitor, it unplugged our interface. I would have to restart our system.
Well, you can look down if you want, and we'll just go back to that.
Okay. I won't have my. You said it's kind of echoey right now.
I hear myself echo.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it, but it's a little distracting.
Right. I would have to restart the computer and everything. I don't know if you want to.
Darn. Is there a video we can watch that's more current?
Yes. Here. Let me send this to you.
Okay.
Okay. Here, this is something that we did with Shep and Doug McDonald.
Cool.
I will put this in the chat.
Okay,
right here.
great.
Okay. And yes, I do know Steve Hashimoto. So give me like 2 minutes here, restart this, and then we will talk about the Chicago scene. Okay?
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay, see you in a sec.
Awesome.
All right, so we're going to go to this, which is probably really cool. Oh, Doug McDonald.
Doug.
How you doing, Ben? Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you again. So, you got a new album coming out.
I'm very excited about it. You and I are both producing it.
Yeah.
And it's got Bob Shepard on tenor, who's a world-renowned saxophone player. Terry Frank, a very accomplished young organ player on the scene, very busy. You and I, you're on drums, I'm on guitar, of course.
Oh, nice. Oh, Carrie. Gary's one of the best B3 players in town here. Great. Bob Shepard, one of the best sax players in the world. Love his tenor sound. He plays, saw him the other night, he was doubling on 6 woodwinds.
Yeah, so what separates this project from the others?
I feel like the music has a nice, fresh approach. There was a chemistry, a synergy that happened, and I think it's very singular. There's some new tunes on there, and there's some standards, and it just seems to be a nice variety from solo guitar to the organ trio to the organ quartet. I think it'll stand out.
Record sounds so good.
I'm just really looking forward to having it come out.
Yeah. That is so good. Doug, really good. So, we're just waiting for Ben Scholz's computer to boot up again. I'm just going to go back and see if there was other stuff other than that well, Doug McDonald. Yeah, for those of you in LA, Doug McDonald, the guitar player we were just watching, he has a jam session that he's open for people to come jam, singers and instrumentalists. It's I'll tell you where it is exactly. It's every Sunday. If you're in this area for a long time, it's the old Sardo's in Toluca Lake. So where it is now, it's called the Rogue Like Tavern. I'm going to post it. So in case you guys would like to, oh, thanks, Dan. I see what you did. So Doug McDonald invites you to a jam every Sunday, 7 to 10 at the Rogue Like Tavern. Wow, that's a name. You know, I watch Bar Rescue. I just get such a kick out of Bar Rescue. And actually one was not too far from here, 20 minutes away in Santa Clarita. But anyway, the Rogue Like Tavern. Wonder why they came up with that name. I wonder what the guy on that show would say. So Burbank, 91205. So if any of you are out there would like to do that. Oh, and then here's another one. Is this Ben Scholz too? Yes, it is. Okay. Thank you, Dan. So we're gonna watch this one too while we're waiting for Ben to come back.
And Betty's going to give us 8 bars.
Here we go.
2 bars. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, yeah. This is at the APAP convention in New York. I was going for the last few years. I performed in the APAP, but it's connected with Jazz Conference. Oh, Jazz. I forget the name of it already. How soon they forget. Anyway, it's a fun to do. Yeah, swinging. Oh, Ben Scholz, the drummer, is who we're interviewing today.
I see you have found more videos of me.
Sorry, I can't hear you too well. Wait a second.
Another old video.
That was good, though. That was really good. Yeah.
I was that showcase one. I honestly, maybe somebody had showed it to me, but like I'll have to go back and watch that one again because thank you for alerting me to that. That's actually
That was my friend Dan Davila who found it.
Oh.
He always, comes up with stuff for the show. It's great.
Awesome.
Yes, that was swinging. Totally great.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love Doug McDonald too. He's been a friend of mine for years. He's so swinging. I remember the first time I heard him, I was like, wow, who are you? He had just come from Hawaii.
Right. Yeah. I met him through a label I was working at in Chicago, and we hit it off, and he's always had the wherewithal to kind of move about, and you come to Chicago, in New York, and then when I moved out here, 2015, finally back to the West Coast. It was great to reconnect. So
yeah. So this is my guest today, Benjamin Scholz, on his own computer. That's cool. Ben is a drummer, percussionist, producer, and also on your website, it does not mention that you're a PR person too. And now you have a show, right?
Did you go to Benjamin Scholz or Scholz Productions? I'll put it in the chat. I need to go back. I mean, I just have the domain as my, I'm just squatting on it right now. I guess that's the curse of working in PR, your own project.
It's kind of like the old, the shoe cobbler, the kids of the shoe cobbler have bad shoes. Right?
Check out this, and please do check out the beautiful website that Shana has designed for us with all the projects and podcasts.
Nice. Okay. Did I go to the other one? Is that where I went?
I just gone to benjaminscholz.com.
Oh, okay.
It's my own, and it's the suffix on my email as well. So I don't fault anybody for not for being misdirected, but that one I need to do a redesign on the personal website. But you can see the projects that we've worked on, the artists that we're working with, have worked with in the past.
Now you're talking about PR.
I am talking. Yeah. If you want to, we can talk about whatever you want.
Well, I just want to be clear because there's a bunch of stuff that you do. So Ben does, I guess you call it radio promotion, right?
I mean, that would be maybe kind of a dated terminology for how we're working on projects.
What would be the correct terminology?
Um, I mean, I like to just put it all under production.
Oh,
Because,
production.
well, because I mean, we are getting involved, and when I say we, I'm talking about what Shayna and I are doing. Is we are involved with the studio sessions that people are doing, whether that's actually filming them, or if we're sort of discussing with artists like how they want to form their physical albums, whether that be CDs or vinyl. Obviously more and more of that is guided towards the streaming services. That's been a huge part of what we're doing lately, is really just acting as kind of acting as a consultant for Spotify and iTunes and things like that, just for people, because everybody's, I mean, the big question is, how do I make an impact on the streaming services? And I've given a number of like lectures at colleges around here, just to their students who are in their 20s. It's like they don't have an interest in necessarily in traditional broadcast radio, which I do like to mention them. Well, it's still part of this community that you would ostensibly want to be interacting with, but they want to see real-time analytics. They want to know that that their music is getting pushed to the people that they are trying to reach, or audiences behind that. And they really don't even, other than like starting from TuneCore or CD Baby or DistroKid or something like that, they don't really have any idea whatsoever like of how to actually start with that, or how to distribute it properly. And so it just, in terms of like trying to set up a kind of a 360 approach to it, I know a lot of people, like, they're still very much focused in on like the CDs and whatever, and that's all fine and good. We'll continue to do that, but we're trying to move much farther past that and look to more like merch type of things, like vinyl and everything like that, which I just kind of classify as merchandise, because it is. And then again, moving in a very concerted direction towards the streaming platforms, because I mean, I know it's a touchy subject sometimes, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm not a fan necessarily of the way that Spotify does their business, or even necessarily iTunes, but it's the way that people are consuming music right now. And I think it would be folly to not address it. There are a lot of people that have kind of hidden their head in the sand and have said, oh, I don't see like a return, like a direct monetary return from Spotify and iTunes, so I'm going to pretend like it doesn't exist. Well, you can play that game all day long, but you're going to be missing out on a major segment of the population that is going to want to hear your music, as well as all the analytics that come by it. So there's not, I guess what it all boils down to, I'm trying to say, is there's not necessarily one correct way to go about it. I just feel that you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't take into account all the possibilities that are afforded to you in this current landscape.
Yeah, I mean, we've done business together, and also we've been in the same locations, like the convention in is it Santa Fe? No, not Santa Fe. Up north.
Yeah, Bay
What?
Area. San Jose.
San Jose. My mind is going, but anyway, it's okay. I still can talk, but my mind is going. But yeah, San Jose. What's the name of that?
That would have been the Jazz Week Summit.
Right, and that's for reviewers and radio, or more for radio, right?
Yeah, I get, again, yeah, this could boil down to analytics. Like, yeah, ostensibly it would be for people who are who their 9 to 5 job or whatever their full-time job is working in radio specifically or some sort of broadcast media. But if you actually look at a lot of the people that attend conferences, like
Yeah, right. It's all over.
it's going to be all over. And
Yeah, yeah.
actually, I think you touched on a really good, potentially a good subject, is that like things aren't always what they seem, and just because something might be branded or labeled as a certain, you really, I mean, again, I'm just going to continue to boil it down to analytics, because that's we're dealing with this very subjective medium of jazz. So it's like, how do you define like the success or whatever, or how do you define like a strategy? There might be a way that you feel about something, but ultimately on both sides, the analytics need to be there, and the analytics and just the data, right? So that you can make educated decisions. So you might have, like, and to elaborate kind of on what you're saying, is that you may have an organization of people that are, that identify as being working in broadcast media, but it might also be, people that are just fans of it, which is fine. That's great. I mean, we need that element of community.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who's going to give you the feedback that really matters? Is it a person that has like a 5,000 watt transmitter in the middle of Iowa? And I don't want to discredit that person. Like if they're broadcasting their community, that's important. But like, that person and if that person makes the journey out to like New York or to the Bay Area to do that, that's really important. That person needs to be like made a priority. But ultimately, how much time can you spend with that person who may have a listenership or an audience of a few hundred versus like Spotify, which has millions, and I mean it's global and it's standard. Again, I don't want to take away from what an individual might be trying to do in their own location. I just want to reiterate that to deny something because like you feel a certain way about it, in my opinion, is always going to be like a net negative on you.
Yeah, and this, I mean, Mark is asking if you deal with Amazon Music too. You do, right?
In terms of distribution, yeah. And Amazon is moving away from their physical media distribution. It's something I actually, that's something that I need to spend time on, to look at what their back end analytics are for Amazon Music and see if they offer the same information data as like Spotify and iTunes.
This subject, wow, it's so intense and there's so many layers. And I remember the last time that I went to the San Jose meeting, wasn't it like 3 years ago?
It would have been before COVID.
Yeah. And I remember that one of the main subjects that y'all were talking about in the talking in the clinics were whether radio was still desiring CDs. And at that point, most of the opinion was yes, a lot of them are, but it's headed into digital. I mean, that's just one small aspect of this whole thing that you're talking about. Do we still make CDs? Do we still need CDs? Are CDs going to be sold? I mean, there's the whole, you go down the rabbit hole with the CD information. But the subject of digital and radio, terrestrial radio, I guess they call it. Is that correct?
In terms of like something that would have a transmitter that's broadcasting an FM signal. Yeah, I mean, that would be terrestrial radio. Yeah.
Okay, so terrestrial radio is like radio as we have known it before, and then there's a digital.
Yeah, the
online.
streaming. Yeah.
Streaming, yeah. Yeah. And then that all also leads in. And I mean, it's not the old days. The old days were really different, and it's almost incomparable because now both on radio, if you're on regular radio and you're on digital, you still may not see any kind of significant finances. So it's not really about the finances, right?
I kind of actually I have a long list of like unpopular opinions.
Yay.
That's
This is why I like talking to Ben.
Let me see if I can find the one about
Oh, you actually have a list. Oh, that's funny.
yeah, I have a whole, no, it actually, and I wrote these are just things that people have told me, or like questions or I have like, I wrote these out in a way that like, I tried to succinctly
Yeah.
okay. Unless you're at the top of your industry, releasing albums and performing live will ultimately be a net negative on your finances. Teaching has traditionally been a hedge against bad returns, but this is becoming an unreliable source of income as more artists seek out these educational opportunities. I'm going to read that one more time. Unless you're at the top of your industry, releasing albums and performing live will ultimately be a net negative on your finances.
I got that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so then the question is, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
Most people, have gone to teaching, right? Well, teaching has traditionally been a hedge against bad returns.
Yeah.
This is becoming an unreliable source of income as more artists seek out these educational opportunities.
So in other words, there's a lot of teachers there now, and how many jobs are there, right?
Desirable jobs. I mean, you could probably find,
Yeah.
again, you could probably find a job in Iowa as a band director.
Yeah.
Probably no problem. But do you want that job? And again, we need those band directors out there.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want that job? I don't want that job. I don't know if you want that job. I don't think so.
I don't want that job.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, in fact, I was just talking to Tom Lure. Do you know him?
Oh, very well. He was my roommate at North Texas.
You're kidding.
He did my grad recital.
Oh, wow. I love his playing.
Yeah.
He's such a nice person. But he was telling me where he was from. Small
Kansas.
town in Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, small. And he says that sometimes when he goes back and talks or does like a clinic, he'll say, you never know what's going to happen because you just never know what you're going to want to do or the opportunity that comes up. You could be in Hollywood tomorrow, Hollywood. But, I mean, so that was just in addendum to what you were saying. It's like, it's not that, that those places aren't needed, but do you want to go there and teach? I don't really. I don't want to leave my area, No,
and most people don't. And
Yeah.
I mean, to further that, I mean, being able to be mobile is a pretty big luxury. I mean, most
Yeah.
people don't have the generational wealth or the freedom to just leave wherever they're from and pursue a career in the arts. I mean, it doesn't matter how, I mean, unless you are just so supremely talented that it just like, I mean, I remember hearing a story from Ed Soph about, it wasn't Nate Smith, guy who plays with, Zakir Hussain, the drummer. He's from Dallas. Here, I'm gonna look it up because this is a great. I feel like Tom even told me this. You would know who this is. It's a really good story.
Huh.
And not the one with Dave Holland. And Charles Lloyd, and then that was the one with Eric Harlan, drummer Eric Harlan.
Oh yeah, okay.
I mean, he was from like this, and I'm just paraphrasing, and I could be way off base, but like from the south side of Dallas, like kind of grew up in a church, was playing, just a phenomenally talented person, but from what I gather, probably not financially solvent to go and just pursue, whatever
he wanted. Yeah.
drove up to an audition at North Texas, and they were just like, I think it was between like, they asked him like, what other schools are you considering? He was like, oh well, that and maybe like Manhattan School. And they're like, you have to go to New York. Like, don't come here. Like, you have to, like, you're so talented. You just you have to go there. And little things like that. And in some ways, maybe it does take like a good teacher or like a good confidant or mentor to be able to say like, you've got it within you. If you're unsure, if you don't really know like what the possibilities are, and if you're not, you weren't raised in a situation where these were even presented as possibilities, maybe it does take, again, why we need those band directors in Iowa, because if there is that kid who's super talented but just doesn't understand what the process is, you do need access across all levels of like societal, whatever, to be able to tell that person like, you have a gift,
Yeah.
you need to pursue this, and come hell or high water, do what you can to pursue that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about today, actually, but because you have a hand in a lot of different things. But going back to because I have so many conversations about this. I'm sure you do too. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What is the value of spreading yourself across Spotify and the likes of Spotify or even radio? What is the value of it, especially now when CDs are just, fading away, except maybe in Japan, but you know what I mean? So, what are we doing? What's your opinion on that? What the heck are we doing, Ben?
What are we doing? Why are we here?
Well, let me make it stronger. What the hell are we doing?
What are we doing? Well, I mean, I've always tried to oblige people on both sides, whether it be like artists or like projects I'm producing or I'm playing on,
Yeah.
or projects that I'm like just shopping to whoever the person wants it to be shopped to projects that I have a very like hands-off element to. I've always tried to like oblige the desire for what's been behind that. I would not touch a physical CD again in my life if I didn't have to. It's not something I need in my life. I don't have, it's like an 8-track or something like that. It's for us, it's an antiquated piece of physical media that degrades. It's easy to break. It's hard to catalog. It's not it. It is for all intents and purposes, it's fairly worthless to us. And we have our libraries and our archives. Every couple years, I give all of the CDs that we've ever worked on or people have given me to USC, to the Doheny Library, and then they digitize them and kind of put them in their library stacks. But and then when they're digitized, they're on the Naxos library, so it's like an interlibrary platform that can be accessed by UCLA, USC, Cal State, Northridge, any of the interlibrary schools, as well as a few that are outside of the state of California. So it's actually a very powerful like way of archiving this material. But in terms of like how many people are checking out those CDs, I don't think it's very many, and especially for like students there, I have to believe that unless it's a very specific thing that they need it for, they would. It's more of like a kind of a for posterity, maybe.
Yeah.
So because the WAV file is the I could just burn that onto any CD. The WAV file is analogous, is a perfect an analogy to the actual physical CD. We have been dealing with more and more with vinyl lately. That is a different master. It is usually spun or broadcast on different equipment, which adds something to it. So I have been happy to, if maybe make $100 or even break even on doing vinyl distribution, because it is objectively different than a digital release. And so I'm happy to do that. But, and I'm not going to lose money over distributing, or lose spins, or lose, attention because of a physical CD. Like I'm not going to, at this point, oblige that, because it's not necessary, unless it's for somebody that absolutely has to have a physical CD, and that number of people is only going to continue to diminish. I mean, again, getting back to hard numbers, that number of people that want a physical CD is less than it was 2 years ago, and will be less than in 2 years from now.
Yeah.
So as we just get better with data transfer and storage, I mean, we have landing pages without SEO on them for all of the releases that we do, unless somebody specifically asks us not to create it. And in which case I usually just password protect it. But these landing pages have all the streaming links. They have all the digital downloads. If somebody doesn't want to archive something, it's always up there, and they can click it, they can download it, and then spin it again. So it's not like we don't make the information available, because it's there. Those downloads are there. So, I mean, in terms of the
now remember the question.
Oh,
and Roland, is it ultimately all for the love of art? Well, who knows? Right. But the question is, why do we do this? Why? And you're included in this as a drummer. Why do we record and make these projects and promote them so that they do get on Spotify and Amazon and iTunes?
Okay, so you're talking about a more of a like an existential question.
Yeah,
right?
A little bit, but I mean, existential. It turns out to be existential, but in many ways, it's real. It's like a real material kind of a question. Why do we do this? What is the advantage?
Well, why do anything then? I mean,
sorry, now you're getting existential.
So you could start from like just recording something and keeping it on your own hard drive or computer, and like never having anybody hear it ever. Right?
Yeah.
That's like the base level, right? It's been created, but nobody hears it. And then you have what the majority of people do, which is like they create something and then they put it on social media, or they pitch it to the people that already are friends and family, or fans or whatever that would consume it, and somebody gives it a cursory glance and, oh, this is nice, okay. But then if you're going to reach people outside of that, by nature of that question, you're going to have to work with somebody who has those contacts, that has developed those relationships, or in the case of the streaming platforms, understands how they work. And there's a little bit of crossover in that. I mean, and that might be a demarcation between, and okay, I want to stick with what you're saying, which is, why do any of this? Okay?
Yeah.
Keep that in our circle here. We have the streaming platforms, which are very impersonal, right? They're not, we don't feel a sense of like emotional connection to Spotify. I hope we don't, because I don't think anybody does. If they do, they're weird. I don't know. Sorry for anybody who really loves Daniel those algorithms. And then we have like a DJ, right, at a community college, who's like super enthusiastic, and then maybe they got an intern who's like 22 and is like really happy to learn about jazz or something like that. Then that's a super emotional connection that you're going to be making with that person. Ideally, there's a Venn diagram crossover there, where you have a playlister, somebody who's a member of the community, who is creating a playlist on these streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So that crossover between like just pure robotic artificial intelligence and a real live human being who's curating these shows, I feel like there is potentially, as we move forward, And if we move forward with these platforms responsibly, instead of just trying to suck money out of art, which is what Spotify is doing, I'm sorry, but it's the case, then maybe we can come up with something that's a little bit more of a just and equitable situation. And then your question of like, why are we doing this? That might be the answer to it, that it becomes self-evident.
A great answer. Yeah. Yeah. And that made me imagine what could happen. That's a great answer.
What's happening with Bandcamp? I don't know if there was an NPR piece on the CEO of Bandcamp. Let me see if I can find that one.
Yeah, I'm on Bandcamp. I don't have all of my projects on it because it takes some time to load them in, you know. And I don't push Bandcamp a lot.
How I Built Resilience, Ethan Diamond of Bandcamp, NPR. It was on April 8th. I heard it just recently, so they might have re-aired it.
Yeah.
Here, I'll put it in the chat here if you want to share that one.
Okay,
It was
cool.
really interesting. This is you can give it there's a half an hour listen.
Yeah.
But he basically and there's a short transcription of it. What he mentioned in this, and where he kind of saw and I'll just paraphrase here, where he saw the crossing of analytics to emotion, I guess. I don't know how to like phrase that, was where he was saying that what they found was that they could get a lot of hits on their site if they put in like Led Zeppelin, like it would be, or like a famous band, Led Zeppelin and a LimeWire, or Led Zeppelin torrent, or Led Zeppelin free download. They've started putting that in their metadata, right? And then, and I don't think that Led Zeppelin has maybe they do on Bandcamp, but you know, take an indie band or, you know, whatever it was, the larger artists they had on Bandcamp, they started putting that metadata in so that it would direct a Google search towards larger indie artists, you know, more prolific indie artists, or indie artists with a larger profile, to people who are trying to get the music for free. And what they would do is that the people would go to Bandcamp and they would find the music and they'd see, oh, it's just $1 for me to download this. I have it instantly. I have all the album artwork. I know it's not going to give me a bunch of malware. I'll just spend the damn dollar off of PayPal to do it. And we were saying, and it wasn't just that, it was also a number of other aspects to it. But he basically was able to show that if people knew they were going to get a secure and easy, streamlined way to get the music and to have it, they were willing to pay a nominal fee for it, as long as it was easy to do. And that's really showing the success of like Spotify and iTunes. Side note, the other thing that he said that he brought up about Spotify, which is great, was that he's like, Spotify has never turned a profit. They've only survived through angel investors. Bandcamp they've never turned a profit.
I'm surprised.
No,
I guess I'm surprised because I get 0.01 cent on a sale, so I figured they got the rest of it.
Spotify profitability. Well, there are, the first hit here is Spotify profitability not a priority, says company on quarter 2 results as of June 28th. So profitability is not even a priority which is like, you're like, what, how's that go? I mean, they make money off of their premium service and advertising, and they're a publicly traded company now. So they'll be able to, pay their staff, and Daniel Ek can be a billionaire, but ultimately, they don't have to, I think, in order to remain a publicly traded company, they don't have to be profitable for a long time. And so that's just not a priority for them. It basically means that they're just devaluing music as it exists. And the real issue here is, there's a great there's a great podcast which it's a very polarizing podcast. You might check it out. It's called Your Favorite Band Sucks. And for all, I mean, it's not for everybody. I'll give it that. And they basically their mantra is there's no sacred cows. So that they go through and they just slaughter like the Rolling Stones or David Bowie. And I don't agree with everything they said, but their RIP music episode is fantastic, because what it does is they outline this company called Hypnosis Acquisitions, which is, you hear about all these if we're getting way off topic here, we can get back to what you were saying.
No, I'm interested in.
I don't want to be like hijacking this. It's definitely favorite.
It's interesting. I want to understand why your favorite band sucks.
It's just, they're like contrarians, you know, these guys are in Nashville, and and again, I'm not saying that like I agree with everything or even a lot of what they say. They're not musicians, they're comedians.
Yeah.
They have a video broadcast of it on Bing. I put it up there. But anyways, this Hypnosis Acquisitions, which I might be getting this wrong, is run by this guy named Merck Mercuriat, who is a hedge fund manager. And you hear about all these deals, like Dylan selling his catalog for $30 million and stuff like that. Well, so why is this happening? Why are these artists just, Tina Turner recently just sold her entire catalog for however much it was estimated. Well, these people are, definitely towards the end of their career. This is more money, they're cashing out, right? Well, what this means is that you've got they're going from, and they detail this in the podcast, they're going from 90% acquisitions to 10% marketing, and they're going to flip it as soon as they want to acquire 90% of all the top 10 hits from like now to like the 40s, or anything is not in public domain. They're just trying to buy the rights up to the recordings, so the mechanical royalties, not the actual music itself, just the recordings. So they're buying everything just for the hits, and then they're basically just going to license this out to T-shirts and coffee mugs. Are you sick of all these band biopics I'm just parroting what they say. Are you sick of all these like lackluster band biopics that are coming out about, Queen and whatever? Get ready for an onslaught of that. And then the problem, and so that's all fine, whatever, not a big deal. But how it's going to affect artists is that it's going to make the industry only focus on what is absolutely going to show some sort of return, and no deals are going to be, there's no risk taking that's going to be involved, because any label, like what's the return on the artists that they're working with? I mean, do 10% of their artists create 90% of their revenue? I would say maybe 2% of their artists create 90% of the revenue at Universal or Warner Brothers. I mean, Blue Note doesn't make any money itself. That's their tent pole is Universal, and that's why. I mean, maybe they make money through some other sources of revenue, but the reason that these subsidiaries exist is because of the large Sony's, Universal, Warner Brothers, and everything. It's gonna take, if this business model goes through, it's gonna take the risk. It's going to make all of these companies be extremely risk adverse, right? Warner Brothers and Universal are not going to want to take a risk with a jazz label subsidiary that wants to like sign the next Arturo O'Farrill or something like that, who's 22 and just breaking out in New York or whatever. That's not going to be an option, because they're just going to look at it and say there's no the chances, the return on that are nil.
Yeah. What about smaller labels? Like I just got on the Origin label. What about smaller labels? Do you think it's the same perspective or no?
Well, I think
they're not making a huge amount of money. I would imagine,
Well, it all depends on where. I mean, it all depends on the capitalization. So it all depends on where the money is coming from.
Yeah.
Like if a label is going to do all of the is going to own the mechanicals, they're going to own the rights to the recording, and they're going to and they're going to pay for all the let's even put it back to like an older 360 deal. They're going to pay artists. So is a label going to pay an artist and the side people to record, pay the studio? Are they going to pay to mix and master it? Are they going to pay to create whatever physical media or distribute it? Are they going to pay to do the marketing behind that? Are they going to pay for the artist to go on tour? All of that. If they're going to do that, then that's a label. That's like a traditional model of a label, right?
Yeah.
So if they're not going to, well, then somebody else is going to have to pay for it. So if that becomes artist funded, well, then you're paying for these services yourself, or you're paying to be under an umbrella of something, or whatever it is. But ultimately that money has to come from somewhere. And what I'm trying to illustrate here is a scenario in which we all kind of lose. And I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer about this,
Yeah.
but when it's a scenario where we could all be potentially losing here because of the way that truly popular music and popular art is monetized.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, I got a message from Joyce Glasgow that John Bishop just posted that they've had their 700th release.
Okay, congratulations.
Good. I mean, that's over the years, because they don't release endless amount every year. They have a certain amount that they release twice a year, and yeah, I mean, they know what they can do. So speaking of knowing what you can do, I mean, let's just stray a little bit off of here. Oh, well, first of all, Mark Baldrich would like to know if you see a difference between the revenues and I'm adding numbers, generated in the United States and in Europe.
It's a good question. On what platform?
There you go, Mark. On what platform?
What platform?
Okay, we'll wait a little while for him to answer that.
I mean, from the streaming side of things,
Yeah.
It's all over the map. I mean, quite literally all over the map. I'm not exactly sure why certain things become more popular in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
In terms of like the sort of radio 365, like entirely online digital radio that we work with.
Wow, Radio 365. I haven't heard about them for a long time.
Yeah, and I'm just throwing that out there as
Yeah.
as one of the things that we've worked with. I will say that over the years we've started seeing an increase in the response from areas of the world that we would not necessarily have, like South Africa, for example, more Eastern Europe. There does seem to be a lot of Eastern Europe. I mean, you got to remember though that not all the countries are the same, and a lot of countries, like, we're not going to really see any good analytics from China.
Yeah.
They're just not going to provide it. They're not going to. That's not something that they want to. Or Russia, they just won't. I mean, I most of the stuff that we're getting from Russia is super under the radar. It's like very, short, like reviews, or like, hey, by the way, I'm spending this, and I'm like, well, do you have any sort of like charts? And they're like, what's a chart? That's that type of thing. So it's just fans. It's the people that just don't want to be like lumped in with any sort of like data that could be used to track them or whatever. They just want
to. Well, isn't that interesting? It's like just exactly what they came out of. It really sets them up.
And that's something I hadn't really thought of, but it makes a lot more sense, is that we're only going to see data from developed nations, right? We're not going to see data. We're not going to see data from North Korea. We're not going to see data. I mean, if that they would have even be experiencing this, but even countries that have put a cap on their on the internet, or how you can distribute this information. Somebody might be broadcasting it via a terrestrial transmitter if you mailed them a physical CD or something like that. And there are people like in Turkey that have requested physical media, and we have mailed them boxes of CDs. We do it like once a year.
Oh, wow.
And they will email me back to say, yeah, I've been using this, and I take it on their word that they are, but I have I mean, the nation of Turkey isn't going to provide us with that information. So, it's again, there's again, like the guy in Iowa with the 5,000 watt transmitter is important. The person in Turkey with whatever they're using is important. They may not have a huge number of people that they're sending out to, but as things change and develop, you might want to oblige that person. Again, getting back to like the personal connection to things, that's something that can't be discredited. And as much AI is out there, and as many algorithms and so on and so forth that we're going to be dealing with, I think it really is important, like you were saying, to
Yeah. This leads me into you as an artist. And I mean, obviously you're a great drummer, and you've been doing it a long time. So, well, starting at the back end here, how do you find yourself splitting being a drummer and being a PR person equally?
I probably would have cared how I was perceived like in my 20s.
Yeah.
And now I just don't care at all.
Yeah.
And being out here, it's you kind of have to just do what you're gonna do without necessarily, maybe people would disagree with me about this, but personally, I want to spend as much time as I can practicing. I want to spend as much time as I can playing with other people. And so that just becomes the priority, and that's what I'm trying to do. And so there's other things that get in the way of that, right? And I want to make music, and that's life. But ultimately, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, not only on the marketing side of things, but also working in film and working with Shayna on that, as well as just spending as much time as I can practicing. And so there isn't really as hard of a line for me between all that as some people might perceive it. And I think it could be a lot worse. I first moved out here and I was going to school. I was doing like PA work up at CBS. And that was like not musically oriented at all. It kind of sucked. Is like a net positive, I have to say, having agency over my own schedule and my own career now at this point is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm just asking more of a personal take rather than necessarily how people perceive you. I mean, especially these days, because obviously since the pandemic, we're not even working as much as we were before anyway. So, it's like somebody calls you for a gig and it's like, yeah, I want to do a gig.
And maybe that needs to be approached with some trepidation, honestly. Like I'm not going to get into details, but I think everybody really needs to be careful about how, for obvious reasons, but I think there's definitely, this was the live gigs and whatever, that was the first thing to get shut down, right?
Yeah.
It's not essential. Like they're just going to shut it down again, regardless of like how much we pitch and moan about it. It's going to be the first thing to go. And if they're like, we have to keep schools open, we have to do whatever, they're just going to nix it. They're just going to close down all the clubs and all the bars, and they will. And regardless of how we feel about it, and I think that doing the outdoor venues thing, and we have the luxury here, I think that's definitely something that um needs to be addressed. And but I'll be honest with you. I strongly support vaccinations. I don't care who hears it. I strongly support staying safe and staying healthy and exercising and getting vitamin D and maintaining your health. Like we're gonna, regardless of how anybody feels about it, if we don't take precautions, it's gonna get shut down again, and we're going to be in a situation that we are in that's worse than we are currently right now. I fully believe that that's a possibility.
Okay. I hear you, and it's pretty obvious that that's occurring, especially when you hear that the president wants to mandate, you know, um, children getting vaccinated, and you know, it's it's uh, it's just an odd time. Nobody really knows what's happening exactly. People have opinions. It's funny because my husband and I were talking today, and we were talking about the people for the vaccination and people against vaccination. We were listening to a radio person, and the radio person was talking about the people against the vaccination. And he said that phrase about um, swallow the pill. What's that phrase?
Red pilling.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a phrase like you swallow the pill and
Pill, you wake up in the morning. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's that thing, swallow the pill and follow the trail. But I had never heard it. Seriously, I have never heard it in the last 2 years about the non-vaxxers. I had always, because I'm more of the natural health side of it, which tends to be the non-vaxxers. But I've only heard it the other way around. I've always heard, yeah, swallow the red pill about the people taking the vaccination. So we had a discussion about that. That was, I mean, and that's even just in our own household. It's not that we are so vehemently disagreeing with each other ever about this stuff. We kind of take everything into consideration, but he had never heard it about that side. I had never heard it about that side. I just thought that was super interesting.
and here, if you go to Urban Dictionary, to red pill is especially a truth that is difficult to accept or exposes delusions.
Yeah.
So it can be, it's a way to to somewhat what's the like under the radar, sort of like push an agenda that might be controversial or unpopular. I mean, it doesn't have a
Yeah, it doesn't have a side.
it's a euphemism, rather.
Yeah.
And all this to say, and I don't care to get into like the politics of all of that, and I really don't. Like, I don't have anything to do with it. It's not my MO. I mean, I work very remotely, except for when I'm playing in bars and clubs. All I'm saying is that if you look at the reality of the situation, the first thing that they're going to do is that they're going to shut down the bars, and it's our line of business and enjoyment that we are trying to accomplish. Playing in venues will get shut down first, as it did if things don't change.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So however somebody's personal, their personal beliefs or preferences or ideology and whatever, how you're going to have, anybody is going to have to is going to have to weigh that against the personal freedoms or whatever. And unfortunately, if things go the way that they're going now, I just don't see anything other than like more of the, like the blue whale closing. These businesses just won't be. I mean, they were barely solvent as it was before all this, and if it, I don't know, but all I can say is that unless things change, I don't see a positive outcome in all this.
I do. I'm the glass half full. I'll leave it at that. But, well, first of all, I have to say, Mark Baldrich, you probably would do great if you called Ben and had a long talk with him, maybe compensated him for some time because Ben has so much information to say. And, but I like the question.
I just want to say that I'm not, things change all the time. Right. And so I can definitely be swayed one way or the other on pretty much anything.
Okay.
Conversation as dogma, because I am not married to my opinions. And if you can convince me otherwise, fantastic.
I like that, Ben. That's cool. Thank you. I like it. That having been said, and also me promoting you to Mark. Mark, I think that is a really good question, though, and I think Ben might be able to answer it relatively succinctly. He said he's had a problem, and maybe you could help him think about this. I have over 800% increases in listeners on Amazon. How do I find out the factor behind the increases?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I have, so the starting point behind that would be, and this is a blank spot in my point of view, or my research, is if you create an account with Amazon, or if you log into your Amazon account through whatever distribution you use, like through CD Baby, if that's even a possibility.
Yeah.
There must be a way. I'll actually, as soon as I get off this, I'm going to go check it out. To look at the back end. So, if you go to artists.spotify or artists.apple and you claim those profiles and you've created an account with those platforms, then you can go, and if you successfully claim the profile, then you can look at the back end analytics and you can see in real time exactly what's happened. So does Amazon offer the same accessibility? I think that they do. It's possible that they don't. If you find it out before me, please let me know.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I'm sure they do. I would imagine so. Anyway, he's going to call you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. My phone number is on the website. Anybody wants to call me,
And he said he can also share data he has.
Okay. That sounds
cool. He's always asking questions like this, so it's pretty cool. Let's kind of change subjects to you as a drummer. I noticed that your bio said you worked with Second City. Is that
was
were you like 12 years old?
So, well, no, Second Cities, they actually just got sold to another hedge fund. So that's where our world.
Really?
A whole building over on Piper's Alley. I lived in Chicago for 12 years. My family's all from Chicago. And so that was that would have been like when I was 22 maybe. And I was, I was still playing a fair amount of piano, and it's not like you had to have like super amazing chops at piano. You just had to sort of have an idea for like comedy and sketch comedy and improv comedy, really. And you had to back them up, and you needed to know jingles and stuff like that in case somebody brought out like the McDonald's theme, play the crap.
Yeah.
So at the time, it was really cool because they were very bare bones about it. It was like stand up. It was like just chairs, grand piano, and people doing improv. No props or necessarily, very like off the cuff, and there's like a whole art behind improv comedy. Now, the Second City that you would know that like Tina Fey or Steve Carell came out of was
Yeah.
a little bit different, and that was also like had been woven in with SCT. But the live Second City, and they had that. Like there were two other stages that they had, which were more like experimental theater, and so some really out there stuff. And so I went through the training program there, like for the first level of it, and realized that I'm not an actor at all. But they were like, "Well, you play piano. We've always been pianists." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then they were starting to do it on cruise ships.
Oh, really? Gosh.
Had actually just gotten off a Norwegian cruise line playing in the show band drums, and they called me in for an audition. I was like, "Okay, that's great." Like,
Sorry, you're cutting out a little. Would you mind turning up your volume a little?
how about that?
That's better volume. It's just a little, it might be mine too. I don't know. It just sounds a little cutting out a little bit. I didn't hear that.
Test 1 2 test.
I heard test 1 2.
Test 1 2 test 1 2.
Yeah, I hear that.
It was probably the lawnmower. It was probably hitting the compressor on your mic. Okay, cool. Anyways, so I went in for the audition, and they, long story short, they wanted more of like a produced show, so on speak, which is, it was, it was going to take me out of Chicago. I had just gotten back off of being like literally on the same line, like the same company. It was going to be less pay, the whole thing, and I was just like, thanks but no thanks. And then it kind of got around that I turned down they saw this golden opportunity, and I kind of got blackballed from everything else. But shh, don't tell anybody that. I'm just kidding. It really wasn't that bad. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed just the culture around it. I could take the train down from where I lived.
Yeah.
I would just go, and I mean, they always needed pianists. Like if you had rudimentary piano skills, as long like just sort of provide some sort of like, major is happy, minor is sad. It was a lot of fun. I got to meet some like really cool people too, and see some like famous sketches.
So did you start out as a drummer or a piano player?
My grandma was a piano teacher, so technically, I mean, when I was second grade or whatever, she was giving me piano lessons, and I started classical piano, and I thought about going to school for classical piano, but that just wasn't going to be something that I was interested in. And then I got into North Texas, and I had played drums since I was, and my dad was a drummer. My grandfather was actually William Ludwig Sr.'s doctor at the Mayo Clinic. He treated him for years for a pancreatic inflammation. And so he'd make the drive from Chicago. Their headquarters were always in Chicago. He would drive out to Rochester, Minnesota, and he gave my grandfather a bunch of gear I still have.
Really?
Old vintage stuff.
Oh, interesting, huh? That's funny.
So that was kind of how I started out, and it just I don't know how things happen.
I don't know. Shit happens. Hey, I have a. Oh no. Dan, I already saw that one. Dan posted a thing of you with the Rose Colella Quartet. I think I opened the show with that. Oh, Gary Brumberg says hi and love to Shayna. Yeah, we should mention Shayna too. So Shayna is Ben's significant other, and she's a really good photographer and
vocalist, pianist, ukuleleist.
I did not know that at all.
Graphic designer, audio mix and master with DAWs and different digital audio workstations, and videographer, though seems like prime. It's photography, videography. It's
Yeah.
kind of the focus of.
I had no idea she sang.
Oh yeah, she has a lovely voice.
Oh, very nice. Is she watching you right now?
No, she's in the other room. She just went and got Noritani's album
Oh,
from when he was met him in Venice. So check that out. That's with Peter Erskine and Jimmy Haslip. It's a cool album.
really? Oh, that's cool. Nori did a good job.
Yeah.
He's a really nice player. I like his playing. And that's another thing. You went to USC, right?
It-
And then I don't know if you started with the teachers there, but I know that the teachers there, utilized your services, your PR services, like Peter Erskine and, who else?
We put out so when Peter did the like the play along, the Music Minus One, all LA band.
Oh, I don't even know about that.
Yeah, that was 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh,
They had done it kind of piecemeal and at Tallies and realized, well, hey, and Peter realized, well, we got a really cool band here that their project. Let's get it out because he had the app they designed, the Music Minus One, with the play along with the charts and everything like that. Just classic
cool.
Mincer
Yeah.
stuff. So that's the one, I guess, technically Bob Mincer project that we worked on. I worked on a good half a dozen other projects that Mincer has been on, but I mean, we've done pretty much all of Peter's releases that I can think of. He's got I'm hoping this will work out. He's got a older project with John Abercrombie and Mark Johnson that Shannon's going to be doing the album artwork for. I got to get on that one. It's a beautiful, just amazing recording. They did with a track somewhere in like Europe,
Abercrombie and Mark Johnson and Peter. Oh, God.
like late 80s, prime of their. I mean, it's remarkable how good it sounds too. And I think Rich Breen did the mastering on it, so the tracks all just sparkle. And it's amazing they just did it with like a handheld recorder in the 80s. And
Right.
if I could find a way to I guess, but it's the musicianship that really
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
with that. But yeah, all the Dr. Stuff, which is absolutely fantastic. And a lot of, Shana does the websites for a lot of the guitar faculty. Rich Smith, we've done a bunch of Rich's projects. Bruce Foreman, that trio with John Clayton and Jeff
Yeah,
Hamilton,
yeah,
a couple weeks.
yeah.
Who else here that's a USC associate?
Frank Potenza or Russell Ferrante?
Russell Ferrante's trio. That one did really well with Mike Lang. That was this past summer. A lot of USC people, Alfonso Johnson, just a lot of people at USC. That's that was really. I know a lot. Not everybody has the opportunity to just come here to Los Angeles and go to a school like that, but that was a game changer. And I know that there's school is a controversial subject right now for some reason, and I without getting into all that, but I really, from a purely just like playing standpoint, that changed my life. Like there's no who I was as a musician before I went to that school and who am now as a musician after I went to that school. It's just two completely different mindsets of music, and it really and you do get the impression that the people that are teaching there are really the best of the best. And
Yeah.
really, and so I that was a game changer for me in terms like going to that school and having that experience.
Yeah, it's a great school. I subbed there only. I didn't teach there. I taught at Cal State LA and Occidental and LA College of Music. I taught at MI years ago. But yeah, USC felt different. it felt like serious musicians, I mean, not heavy in a heavy way, but committed, really committed musicians, both in the students and the teachers. And of course, the students were that way because the programs were set up like that and the teachers were great. So yeah, that definitely.
Because I went to North Texas, and that was one thing. The school itself is a very, and I know it's gotten some bad.
Which school?
USC. I know that it has gotten some bad press for, like, just being a school, the whole
Yeah.
Lori Loughlin thing or whatever. But if you're there you got to look at the people that they are hiring to teach there, and just by that nature, those people are going to be very intense on what they're doing. And then the school itself really sets a high bar for what you need to show, and the way that you need to, like, approach things, and then also the way that you need to to present yourself at the school, and and be like a sort of an ambassador for the school too. There's a big outreach program, the Lay J, the Los Angeles Youth Jazz Ensemble, that I directed, as well as a bunch of, like, outreach programs for the neighborhood schools in that area. It was the optics behind it are super important to that school, and so that in and of itself really, I think, instills in the people that are seriously going there, that have, like, are really trying to accomplish something. It was very apparent, like, even in the first week that I was there, that I needed to take it seriously, because there was definitely an opportunity to not take it seriously, but that would have just been a waste of everybody's time and money. And so right there from the very get-go, I just realized that, and especially where I was coming and doing a master's, that I needed to take that seriously. And I'm really glad I did, because once I took it seriously, everybody else that was involved, that I was, studying with or I was working with, they took it very seriously, and that parlayed itself into working on their albums or plans, because then they trusted me that I was going to take that seriously. And I do. I definitely take everything that they're doing seriously.
Yeah, that's very cool. Dan did find a sound check that you were on with Bill Cunliffe.
Oh, which? Oh, that's the. Oh, was that the thing that we? Oh, this is an old. Oh, no, it's not an old. Oh yeah, that was that thing in Ventura that. Yeah, unfortunately, they had messed up the live stream of this. I was really.
Oh,
We were all very
disappointed.
Yeah. For my. Let's not watch that one. You guys.
Okay.
My point is, like, it's just like a cell phone video. It's not anything really, but yeah, we all kind of came away from that, like, not very happy with.
Okay.
Are you looking for more performance videos and stuff?
Yeah.
Because here, let me give you something. And it's Bill is a dear friend of mine, and he's a brilliant pianist. It was just that one didn't come off the way that, and I should probably actually take that video down. Here's something that's fun that I did for Roland. This is when we were kind of getting into, like, some fun. Here, you can play this one.
Okay.
Not to make it all about me, but
it is kind of about you.
This one.
I mean, I always promote this as a hang, but it's really features you. So let's see. So let's get that going. Oh yeah, this is definitely all about you though. But it's cool. Why not? Okay, here we go. Look, it's only Ben. Black cymbals? I never saw that before.
Yeah.
Are those real cymbals or are they?
better model.
Wow, that was good. You know, that's a really nice set too. Is that that's what you have back there?
I have a slightly older generation of that kit. That's their TKV, which is like the snare drum is all USB, so it's like a virtual instead of just like a quarter inch. So it's the sample rates that you can get on it, or that's why it just has that really nice like all the dynamics and stuff like there. That was at the headquarters in City of Industry. They did before COVID a drum day every and so I remember doing that, and like Shayna did it, and I was like, oh, that was like cool. And then like immediately right after, like Vinny Colaiuta walks down and then he did a presentation on that same drum set. And I was just like,
oh boy. Timing is everything.
just watching him just annihilate on an electronic drum set too, just watching him just slay it.
So those cymbals, are they real cymbals or are they
No.
plastic? I can't quite tell. Are they just black? Is that it?
There's no sound.
Oh, they're only digital?
Yeah, and then the controller is here. You know, I can go like out left and right from the module, or you can go digitally. You like MIDI. You go through a US, like just a real long USB cable directly to the computer and record it and just get the MIDI values, and then fly in whatever sample.
Yeah. So what I want to know is what are they made of? That's what I want. That's what I'm curious about.
That's a good question. I think these heads are Kevlar. They're woven, like they're
yeah.
Stretchy.
This and the cymbals?
Plastic, and then there's like rubber on top of them. So they don't quite feel like real cymbals. I mean, they to them. There's like a different like sampling pattern or sensors from the here to the here, and so you can get like crashes. You can get this. You get the bell here. Responsiveness on the drums, they're getting better and better, and like and on that video, like it's just the responsiveness and the sample rate is way higher on the actual the USB snare drum version that they have, and they also have a USB ride cymbal, so you're just a quarter inch, the quarter inch cabling that's on around all this just doesn't allow for quite the same responsiveness. It'd be like not really. It'd be like like a USB microphone, for example.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have whatever sample rate is from the converter inside of the microphone, whereas like this is analog all the way until it goes to the interface, but then it gets changed, it gets digitized, it gets converted in the whatever DAW you're working with, and so however high your sample rate is, you're just going to have more responsiveness, you're going to have just a better more dynamics, more frequency response and all that. It's kind of the same thing with this, where it's like there's no analog aspect to this whatever. So the sample rate is like literally just what is going to be picked up by the actual drums, versus like when they have their USB sampler, or the USB snare and the USB ride, that's just going to be a much higher sample rate. So I mean, it's, live in an apartment, got to have something to play on, but it works. I mean, I've done remote sessions with it on our computer. It's great. It's a great, it's just
Sounds good, actually. When you were playing, it sounded great.
Oh, thank you.
Dan deleted the Bill Cunliffe video here,
Don't worry about it. It's just I don't know that he would.
but there is another one here, and this one is I don't know how you pronounce his name, Hendrik Merkens.
Oh yeah, Hendrik.
Is that one good? I'll show you.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I should have sent this one. Yeah, so Shanna did this at Vibrato. That's with Frank Potenza and Ty Bailey. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. This was a really fun. So Hendrik is a harmonica player, lives in New York. He's from Germany, and he's big in his own scene. He's also big in like the Brazilian scene. He's done an album with Antonio Adolfo. But he did one of Jimmy Cobb's last albums. Yeah, he's great. We're trying to bring him back.
Cool.
Back here. He plays with Nan Schwartz. I think he did book a gig at Vibrato.
Oh, cool.
That's
in body form, he kind of reminds me of Håkon Graf. Do you know him?
Yeah.
He's a Norwegian pianist who played with a lot of people, and he's really great. He's kind of towards the Weather Report direction. Strangely, he lives in God, my mind is really like empty today. What's that area? Anyway, north of here, Bakersfield. I was looking for San Bernardino, but it's Bakersfield. And but he's really terrific. But he looks a lot like him. I mean, just right there anyway. But we're gonna watch. Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I just sent you another to Frank Potenza. Awesome.
Say that again.
I sent you another video as well. Frank Potenza is playing.
Oh, great.
Or whatever it is.
Okay.
I moved to Nashville.
Say that again?
I think I moved to Nashville. He's played with Katy Perry forever.
Ty?
Yeah, Ty Bailey. You remember Ty?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
You know, I've never worked with Ty. I usually work with Carrie Frank.
Yeah. Well, and he was subbing for Carrie.
Oh, okay. And the drums, real solid through it all.
Yeah, this was a fun. We've been trying to make it work again. It just get everybody in the same room. We wanted to, the goal here has been to do it live at the Lighthouse, because we also play at the Lighthouse when I had to come out to play. I know he forged a real strong bond with Frank too as well.
Yeah.
Watching the well, Shana
Sorry,
had
what were you saying?
watching the videography too. It's been a while since I watched these. Shana had a group of people that she was working with doing all the camera, 5 cameras on this.
Oh, this was very nice. Beautiful.
Yeah. It's so funny to watch because I had just finished up like 2 years of playing with Frank or playing in one of his ensembles like every day of the week. And just, having him he was the head of the department at the time. So just like from that to going from this, it's interesting, not in like a good or bad way. Cool to this.
Yeah. Great. Nice. Oh, he's a beautiful player.
He really is. God, I really want to.
Thank you. The great Frank
I really want to do what I can to. It's just been. I don't know how it's been for you. It's been so difficult to get people. I mean, it was difficult before because there wasn't any money, but now there's no money and there's like, oh, you might like get super sick. So it's this constant to try to do anything. Like we're going to New York after we're leaving in December to go back to Chicago, and like we've done every year except for last year. And then we'll be there through Christmas and all that, and then we've always gone from Chicago to New York because it's a 2-3 hour flight of that.
Yeah.
New York, and then I don't know if there's going to be that jazz congress again or not, but we'll go for the APAP and Winter Jazz Fest. And I've got some gigs in Chicago and hopefully some gigs in New York. But the reverse of that, just trying to get people from New York out here has been intensely difficult. And yeah, I don't know.
I'm just in a different function, I guess you could say, than you. But first of all, I've noticed, but it's not just right now, but I've noticed a lot of people have in the last year moved here from New York. Mark Ferber, Ben Williams, Justin Davis, people like that, like who are really great players.
Tim LaFabe's still out here?
Sorry?
Tim LaFabe's still out here?
I don't know. I know a lot of people have actually left too. But, and then also, for instance, Jake Clayton is coming here in November, and November 14th, she's going to play a brunch at Vitello's with Cunliffe and John Leftwich and Chris Wabich and Kim Richmond. So, and I'm setting up a workshop for her in private lessons. So, I mean, it's funny because it's somewhat, it's not what I'd call a small community, but it feels like it's a closer knit community than just, the broad human kind of all over the planet,
I mean, it's the jazz community, if you want to call it that, is the people who even know what that means. That's a percentage of the general population, and then the number of people that are actually engaging it on more than just a cerebral level, that's even smaller. So yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it's a very small group of people and that are doing it and going either from coast to coast or traveling around and trying to do this on and making a name for themselves. I mean, that's an even smaller group.
Yeah, I know there are some people on tour. Actually, Carrie this week was on tour in the States.
Social D.
Yeah. And so tours are beginning again. And I mean, just as a fan, I've been working a little bit, here and there. Um, and, but just as a fan, I've been going out to like, I don't know, 4 or 5 nights a week. Sam First, Just Jazz, Vitello's, Catalina's. I think that's, oh, the Ford Theater this week, Billy Childs is at the Ford Theater as part of the jazz festival, You know about that, right?
I mean, I saw that he was perform. I didn't know that they had something.
The festival that Rocco does every year.
No, I don't. I don't know.
Oh, here, let me tell you the name of it. I probably Dan will say it before I get it up there, but it's the the Angel City Jazz Festival.
Dan Rosenboom had something this past week.
Yeah, what they did this year was they usually spread it out a little bit in time, but they also spread it out in many different venues, which they've done before, like when the Blue Whale was here and stuff. But this Billy Childs on Thursday, he's going to be there with his kind of small orchestra with Diane Reeves and Moira Smiley, and actually Larry Kuntz is in the band, and so they're going to do some of his Laura Nero project and other things.
I mean, I hope it'll continue. I hope that amount of the access that we have to live performance, that we are on an upswing. But I would hate to see the opposite of that.
Yeah, well, these few weeks, man, it is kind of exploding. Last week I went to Sam First twice,
Yeah.
and I went to the week before I went to the Ford. This week I'm going to Vitello's and the Ford and Sam First and the Baked Potato. I'm doing all that. Now I'm kind of a non-fear person too. I mean, and I don't say that, putting down anyone, but I feel comfortable going out. I have a mask and I take it off when I'm eating and drinking. I don't do this kind of thing, I mean, I'm just kind of, and, whatever you're comfortable with is totally, I'm not opposed to that. But for myself, I just feel very comfortable. And yeah, it took me a while to get the vaccine because I kept not wanting to get it, because all the people that I have followed for years, like the natural health type of people, all were saying, don't get it. So I was really hanging out, waiting. I got the first one, and then I was waiting. And then finally I got the second one, just really because I wanted to start going out. I mean, Sam First is, definitely checks at the door now. Catalina's Vitello's is.
Yeah.
So, so I'm doing that, but I got the second shot and, doing that. But again, I have friends who don't go out of the house at all for various reasons, personal reasons. And, but I've just been having so much fun going out and hearing music, and I have a good immune system, but I also have not been sick in 2 years, and I haven't been super contained. But that's me, and everybody is different,
I thought like you, and I learned the hard way.
Did you get COVID?
Well, I'm not going to go into all of that. I mean, I got the Johnson & Johnson shot, and I don't know how effective it is. All of this to say, I don't want to get into all of this. That at this point now, I mean, we went to go. We've been out to a few venues since that. I personally am looking at. I'm being very judicious now about which types of things that I go out to. I in the future, like looking forward now, I will definitely prioritize outdoor venues for sure, as opposed to indoors. I want it to be like a small club that does check, like Sam First, for example, like that. I think they've got it going on. That I don't know. All I can say is I think it's like I think it's important, very important to be careful. It's and there's no like nothing, no vaccine, no precautions are 100%. And so I used to go out I used to go to multiple gigs, in Chicago especially, and
Yeah.
here. Well, I'd go to a gig and then immediately hit the jam session right after that, and I didn't even it didn't even phase me. It didn't.
Well, of course, that was a really different time.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it sucks. It sucks to have to be now for me.
Yeah.
It sucks to have to second guess whether or not I actually want to go.
Yeah.
When it,
Remember when we used to go see Carrie at the three clubs?
yeah, exactly, like something like that. Now
Yeah.
I gotta be really. I gotta think. I like. I have to think, is this genuinely? Am I doing this because I'm just bored, or am I doing this because like I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna have a mask on, I'm gonna be there for a short amount of time, I'm gonna like try to get everything out of it that I possibly can,
Yeah.
elbow bump people and then peace out. My mindset is right now, I don't like it. I don't like being in that situation. I want to be able to just go and hang out with people, but that has changed for me dramatically.
Yeah.
I wish it was.
Well, that's okay. Whatever. Whatever, it's it is what it is, and everybody is different. Everybody is different, and yeah, we're going to look back at this time with high amusement, or some of us won't be amused, but yeah, it's going to be a very interesting look back to this part of history.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Ben Scholz, it's been 2 hours.
Oh wow, time flies.
I know, it doesn't it? And actually, before we go, could you tell us about your show? Because I wanted to mention that you started
It's calling it a show it's I've just, when I've had the opportunity to do in-person things, all of which have been outdoors recently,
interviews.
interviews with like Russ Ferrante or Tom Kubis, Peter. I've put them online. I've done a couple of these with Zoom meetings where with been somebody that I really wanted to talk to. I tend to, I like the personal side of it, and I think for
Yeah.
like, interview that I can then edit together is something that's important to me.
Yeah.
Trying to get a very succinct type of thing. But anyways, here I will send you. I'm gonna put the this cat is swinging. Kendall Carter. I'm just gonna I'll put the link to
One of your shows.
well, it's just to our page. All of these are on our homepage of the website too. But if
Ben
I
Scholz Productions.
Schultz Productions. And so this is the YouTube channel. Here's the website itself, where you can see those. And yeah, there's some really good interviews in there with a lot of different perspectives. Daphnis Prieto was a lot of fun because I actually I like transcribed during that Jazz Week Summit when they had Chewy Varela and the guy up in San Mateo from KCSM, and I actually or that is Chewy. They did like a Latin jazz thing.
Oh, yeah.
All of the things, of like, do you feel like Latin jazz is ignored, all so on and so forth. Like I put him to, I just posed these questions to him, and he was very articulate in how he, talked about his perception on the way that Latin jazz is.
Yeah.
So it's a very informative interview that we did. But yeah, I've got one with Tom Kubis that I'm working on right now. We talked about his history that we did up at the Dragonfly Studios, Charlie Maria's place in Malibu, and and I'll put that in our email. If you probably honestly the best way, if you want to get, like, if you're interested in the things that we're doing, or if you want to get like straight up in contact with me, is you can join our email list, which you can do on the website, or you can just email me. I can put your email address.
Yeah.
We email, it goes out every Tuesday, releases, as well as, like, the podcast stuff, and all that. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's cool. That's great. I'm on it. I'm on it. You guys need to be on it too. Okay. Well, just going to mention who's going to be on the rest of the week. Okay.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, this is really funny. This is an old friend of mine who's a poet. It's almost like he's a jazz poet. He's also an author and a recording artist, and he did a lot of work with the Doors. And he's a very interesting guy. He's older, and he's been involved with jazz a lot. And his name is Michael C. Ford. But the weird thing is, he's a pretty interesting person, and this isn't probably significant to anyone except me, but his phone number literally keeps disappearing out of my phone. And it's so funny. And my emails aren't getting to him. So I think he's going to be on tomorrow, 12 to 2. He's probably, knowing him, he'll probably just show up anyway, but that's what I'm hoping. And then I got turned on to this singer who's coming here this week to sing at Vitello's on Friday night. So I worked in a 5 to 7 show with her tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and her name is Dara Tucker. And when I checked her out, I was really enthralled. She's not only got a really beautiful voice, but she's a great singer. She's great, very natural, great phraser. She's worked with Cyrus Chestnut and Sullivan Fortner, and very high level people. Really good. So I'm excited about that. And then Thursday through Sunday, I'm going to post from my archive. So that'll be Scott Robinson. Do you know about him?
I know Scott Robinson. Which Scott Robinson?
Woodwind, multi-woodwind player from the East Coast.
Okay.
He's really interesting. He has this website called Science Sonic. I think that's the name of it. And he does, if you become a member, he does all these kind of weird things with all these woodwinds. I mean, hundreds of woodwinds. And he's very interesting. And he's also played with a lot of heavyweight people. He's a veteran player. And then Friday, Carol Robbins, the jazz harpist. And Saturday, a wonderful singer from England named Georgia Mancio. And she did a record with Alan Broadbent of songs they wrote together. She writes great lyrics. And of course, Alan Broadbent is a great writer. And then Sunday, our friend Carol Bacchi-Rita, who's a great dancer and singer who loves Brazilian. And I'll just say that the 3 live people next week will be Lou Castro. Do you know Lou? He's a bass player.
Maybe.
You guys should talk. You guys would probably get a kick out of talking to each other. He's a very energetic person. He's a producer, a writer. He's just he's interested. He's really interested, and just a great guy. So he's on Monday. Tuesday, one of the best jazz bassists I've ever heard, Dean Johnson from the East Coast. He's so gorgeous. Wow. Nice person. And then Wednesday, you may not know about her because she's kind of in the singer world, but Morgan Ames.
Okay. I don't know.
She's an older singer, veteran singer, I guess you can say. And her real big claim to fame was she was a contractor for vocalists in the studios for years. And she arranged, she has a group called Inner Voices, which some people have seen probably with, it's had Shelby Flint in it and the Joyce brothers, David Joyce, you probably know. Her name is right, Clydeen Jackson, Melissa Mackay, who was Dave Mackay's wife. Just she's very involved in that world, and she's really good. She's had a huge amount of experiences, so that's going to be fun too. So anybody who would like to see who else is going to be on in the next month or so, just go on my website.
Yeah, I'll check it out too.
Thank you. And Ben Scholz, this was great. My love to Shauna, and thanks so much for being on and sharing who you are and your knowledge with us. It was really fun conversation.
Thanks, Cathy. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Bye, everybody.